Well, I guess this means I'm live. Let's see, get a couple things going here. So let me know if there's any issues with audio or anything like that, and welcome to the stream today, guys. It's been a little while. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, and not too long, but still a couple weeks since I've posted anything to my channel. So glad to be back. Had a lot going on. Looks like I've already got a question. Would I make a 3D game? I definitely have considered it. Yeah, I don't have anything in my plans right now to do 3D though. Saw a few people that were commenting before the stream started. Yeah, I haven't dropped this series, the Action RPG series. So today's stream is really geared around kind of exploring where I'm at with the series and the game, and looking at some of the features that I want to build and add that have been part of requests. And we'll just kind of talk about that, kind of the current state of things and where I'm going. And, you know, if there's any questions, though, this is kind of a casual stream. I'm happy to get into anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just get Godot started here, I guess. If it will. There it goes. And, you know, I normally don't work on this. When I record my videos, I use this Action RPG tutorial project. This is the same code that I upload to the GitHub repository. I've got a separate one here. It's basically a duplicate. I build everything first in this project and then rebuild it for the recording. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys kind of where I've left off. I've got a couple things. So you can see here in the inventory, I'm not loving how this is kind of crammed in here, but I've got this gear section. So there's kind of 4 abilities that I want. We've already built the boomerang. This little gem is a placeholder where we would have like the grapple hook or something like that. This spear will be replaced by an arrow for a bow and arrow, and then bombs. So James Nice said he had an idea for a student video. You play our games on stream. That would be really fun. We could almost do that today. We'll see how much time we have, but if people have games we want to play, I might get into that. So yeah, I want to work on these a little bit today, and I'll just show you where the state of the game is. I've built, let's see, what's up in the player scene? I've built a new, actually I haven't built a new state for the bomb, but what I'm doing is I'm reusing like the lift and the carry states for bombs, and so I have this bomb scene, and this, at first it was just using the throwable. You can see I've got a throwable component in here, and I was kind of extending that throwable script to make it so that it could support extra functionality like this bomb, a different type of throwable. And it became kind of, I don't know, just gross, and the code was getting confusing. And so what I've done is I've actually extended this throwable, and it's a throwable bomb. And this, I've added some extra variables for the bomb. And because I'm extending this, what I've done is I've gone through and I've kind of overridden. You can see I'm using the super call on this ready function. So I'm calling the ready function on the throwable, and then I'm doing some extra work here. And likewise, I'm overriding, or this is commented out, but I'm calling the process on the parent and then adding my own extra code and so on. I've just got a few extra functions or overridden bits of functionality within this. And ultimately what it comes out to is, let's just go ahead and run this. And I've got this bomb right here, and the player can pick it up and throw it, and it will explode at some point. And I don't even know if that made a sound effect. I don't believe I hooked up the sound effect yet, but maybe I did and I forgot. So anyways, I've got that bomb. I've started working on that, and I need a way to be able to make this easier to demo, but let me just run it again real quick. It's got a timer. It's based off of the animation. You can see the fuse is counting down, and it should hurt the little slime there. There we go. So, you know, it's kind of fully functional to some degree. You can see that the bomb's got things like a fuse duration, how bouncy it is, how many times it'll bounce, which this isn't super important, but I'll probably keep that. And then all the other settings, you know, I think are basically coming from the original throwable script. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. People saying hello and that they like the series. Thanks for joining in, you guys. You know, it's funny because I've got some Patreon subscribers, and some of them I recognize here, like James, but others I may not know you. I think Pascal might be one of my new ones. If so, thank you. And maybe even Scott. That name looks familiar, Scott Alario. And you don't have to shut up. Ashu says, I like watching your stuff. I just want to get into game development in Godot. Yeah, you know, if you don't have a background in programming, that's okay. When I started doing stuff, I just kind of learned, you know, as I went. And to be fair, I took a slow route. I'm pretty older. I'm pretty old now. And, you know, I've been doing some of this as a hobby for a while. I do web development in my day job. And so, you know, I have some of that background to help out. But for writing music, I don't actually write a whole lot of music, but we can maybe look at that. I have thought of making a video about that, but I haven't done it yet. So let's just get back into this for a minute, though, because I want to try and make some progress while I'm chatting. I'm going to try and keep focused if I can. So what I want to do is I want to fill this out a little bit. And actually, I want to go back to the player script and show you one other thing. We built this abilities node with a script. I don't even remember when, you know, 60 videos ago, maybe, I'm not sure. And you can see I've got some enums in here. So there's different ability types. So you can see I've made an enumerable value for each type. And I've got like a selected ability, which by default is boomerang. And I've actually started hooking this up a little bit. So I have like a new input binding for an ability button. And when you press it, it's just gonna, well, we already had that, but by default, I think it was just throwing our boomerang when we originally built this, but now I'm having it just check the selected ability and then it'll call the right function. And I've also got a switch ability button that I've added. So this was not new, but this is new. And all I'm doing right now is say toggle ability. So I think I put it on tab right now on the keyboard. So if I run this, I should see it here. Like if I hit tab, it's toggling the ability. And then the ability button is my, oh, there it goes. Interesting. It might be bugged out because either my key's going out or it's not letting me throw. Oh, there it is. Wrong button. Okay. Hello. Good evening. Oh, it's evening for 7sim. Thanks for joining in, guys. The orderly. Greetings from Germany. Thanks, Klaus. Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of wanting to set up and work on this a little bit. So toggle ability does nothing. I want a little like heads up display maybe in the top left corner that shows the different ability icons that we can toggle through. There's a lot of ways we could handle this. There could be like a circular menu like became popular in the early 2000s, I think. I don't know when that started, like maybe with Mass Effect or something, but I'm thinking I want to build a more simple one because I don't think it needs to be really crazy. It just needs to work. And so we'll probably build something simple when we start out and just make it so that we can change abilities. And so maybe today we'll get to the point where I can actually like pull a bomb out of nowhere and throw it. And then in the future we'll add the bow and arrow, the grappling hook. So yeah. Hello. Cecil says I'm the only streamer who spends time explaining the truth. Appreciate that. I hope it's good. Yeah, no, I think there was a little explosion, Scott, but I wasn't sure if it was from hitting the enemy or not. I feel like it needs more work, though. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop this. And actually, I think what I want to do real quick is I want to go into Sprite for a minute, because I need some, like if we look at the menu, these icons are not doing it for me. The boomerang's okay, but I built in that little fade to the boomerang. The bomb's the only one that really works, but it could be a little bit better. And I want these icons to be good and reusable, maybe in the UI or the HUD. So well, I guess I got to open Sprite. I don't have it open yet. Yes, I am capturing with OBS, James. I haven't really tried anything else. I know there's a couple good options or alternatives out there, but I'm going to go ahead and just make a new 32 by 32 is perfect. Make a new sprite. And let's see. So, hello, Lily Ghost. Good morning to you as well. So I've got these icons. Let me actually open a couple things here. I've got this bomb. I don't need to start this one from scratch, I don't think. I'm just going to grab this, copy that, paste it over here. Now I'll probably recenter it on this one. Well, this is the sprite sheet for the bomb. I don't know if it's really worth it, but having the fuse kind of burn down was just something fun I wanted to do. Let's see. Let's grab a boomerang as well. Do I have a boomerang handy? I don't see it. Tutorial assets. It should be in here somewhere. Did I miss it? There it is. Boomerang. Okay. So I'm going to grab, this is nice. I'm just going to grab this layer of the boomerang. Come over here. Let's make a new frame. Alt-N. Oh, Alt-N duplicates it. There we go. Boomerang. What else do I need? I need an arrow and I need a grappling hook. Welcome, Tanisha. Thanks. I'm glad you appreciate the content and that you're learning. Okay, so I don't know the best way to do this. I think this boomerang should probably be sideways, so I'm just going to rotate that and get that in there. And feel free to ask. I'm going to try not to over-explain everything on this video unless people are having questions. Some of this stuff I may have covered. I think the bomb's okay. There is kind of like a size difference, though, between these. And I'm thinking for that HUD in the top, that might be weird. But we'll deal with that in a second. I'm going to hit Alt-B just to make a blank keyframe. And let's get an arrow in there. And I think maybe we draw a bow and an arrow. I'm not sure. Ah, James. So the whole plan for the bomb. That's a good question. So your question is that you place it, light it, then pick it up. No, really right now, I'm thinking that as soon as you pull a bomb from the inventory, you'll be holding it and the fuse would be lit. And then you just would throw it. We might even want to add an ability to just place it where you're standing. I haven't necessarily planned on doing that because it just works with the throw. But that's the general gist of where I'm going. And then this this bomb, I think we would be able to use it pretty easily for like an enemy or a cannon where we just instantiate it and set the variables properly and call the throw function. So you could have something that shoots a bomb. The player would still be able to pick it up and throw it himself if he wanted to, you know, if he picked it up before it blew up. So that's kind of where I'm going with the bomb. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. To be able to light it would be interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. So let's see. I need a bow and arrow. Iskar, yes, I tend to like using a finite state machine for enemies and for bosses. Yeah, James says how much, when you talk about things, how much the scope can change. In any development, you're going to run into that, right? Where you have a small plan at first and you add a couple small features and pretty soon you're doubled the size of your project. I'm going to just make a quick arrow here. Let's see. That is really ugly. I don't know what a good arrow. I might need to look up a picture of an arrow. Now, interestingly, I'm drawing this at an angle, but the version that we'll use when we actually fire it, when we get there, will have to be built, you know, from like a straight angle, most likely. Okay, that's an okay arrow. I'll go with that. I'm just gonna come in here and add some colors. And I'm not gonna go too detailed with these assets today. Just get basic things going. Oh, bombs that slow the enemy or an ice effect. That is an awesome idea, Lily. Wouldn't be too terribly hard to implement either, I don't think. Be kind of fun. It'd be cool to have like, yeah, poison bombs, sticky bombs, something like that. That'd be cool. Yeah, the Zay, that this, I've been making that, you know, I thought when I started, I thought I'd get through the tutorial series a little bit quicker than I have. It's really grown, and it's hard to know where to go next, because I do want to branch out, partly because it will help broaden the appeal of my channel and bring new viewers in. But also there's other game types, right? So I put out that little platformer, I'll call it a mini series. It was small. It was 8 videos, or did I do 9? But it wasn't very popular. And I think that's because most of my followers were waiting for action RPG stuff, which both warms my heart and saddens me, because I don't know, I just want to be able to branch out, and I don't want to feel like I'm abandoning people. But there we go, little arrow. And so what I'm thinking is, you know, one thing I've been toying with is kind of building out the action RPG to completion. Meaning, build the complete game and publish it. At some point, I would have to stop sharing my code with the project if I do that, though, you know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to sell it. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just use the non-contiguous fill. I'm going to change all my black to that purpley. I think I want to use... Is that the one I want? Sometimes I just don't love straight black outlines. I like this purple one over here, but it's too light. So maybe I'll darken it. Okay, that looks all right. Okay, now along with this, I'm going to make another layer here. I'm going to do this real quick now. Let's add a bow, and this layer should be behind. You know what's a good way to start this? Let's use the circle. Maybe it's a good way to start this. I don't know. That is not looking great, but whatever. We'll work with it. A way for players to track. A way for players to track their progress. I'm curious, more details what you mean by that, Tanisha. So right now I do have like a basic quest system that we've built in the series, and you know, that works well enough for the scope of the game that we're building, that I'm building with this, but could certainly be expanded. But I don't know if there's other things like what you would be most interested in tracking. And yeah, put actual game names in. Let's build a platformer like Super Mario. Yeah, I did consider that. I didn't want to use the Mario name. I was a little bit afraid of Nintendo, I guess. I was like, I don't know if I say Mario, are they gonna come after me? But that is true. I should probably do that. Is that looking symmetrical? Let's see. I wanna. That's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be able to use this unless I move this around. Whatever I draw for the bow here is going to dictate what the bow looks like in the game eventually. We need to have the hero holding it. Yeah, everybody should be afraid of Nintendo, yeah. I don't remember what happened with Pal World. Pal World, that game, right? That's kind of like the Pokemon. I think I'm getting the right one. The Pokemon-like open world. I never played it. But seemed like they got into some potential trouble, but maybe they got out of it. I don't know. This bow looks kind of goofy, but it'll do. First time viewer. What is that? Carnegie? HQ? Thank you. I am the goat. Scott's afraid of the switch under his bed. I'm just not quite loving this. I don't want to dink around too much on this, but let's see. Let's go like this. Okay, it's a decent bow shape. I'll just give it a string across the back. Let's turn on our arrow layer. I'll just use some of these same colors. Turn on that contiguous fill. Fill. How do you say that? How do you say that word? A switch 2? Yeah, I haven't been paying too close attention to game news lately, but I see it. Switch 2. I really like the Switch in some ways, but I'm not sure. Not sure I'll get a Switch 2. It's kind of hard. I'm not playing a ton of games. Although I've been playing Elden Ring Night Rain a little bit with my daughter this week, and that game is actually pretty fun. I love Elden Ring. I love those games. Some of my favorites. Oh, a map. Yeah, a map system is something, Tanisha, that I do think we'll make. I do want to make a map system. And I've made one in small basic map system in some of my previous little games I've made. Arrow shaft lighter than the bow? Yeah, maybe. That makes sense. Let's go like this. Is that the same color? Wrong layer. There we go. Boink. Cool. Okay, there we go. Little bow and arrow. That'll be fun. That'll show up in our inventory. I haven't saved this sprite yet, so let's save it. I'll just keep it in this tutorial assets. Ability icons, maybe? I just need one more, and that's the grapple hook. I have no idea. You know, I'm kind of on the fence about a grapple hook. I do plan to make it, but I feel like it's almost become cliche with these type of games. Claire Obscure. No, I didn't play that one. I just don't have time anymore. I really want to. I've heard really great stuff about it. Yeah, the Soulsborne. I remember when Demon Souls was announced, and I was bonkers over it. But at the time I saw it, it was only in Japan, and I was just like devouring all the content I could. And they had a petition for Sony to bring it to the US. Or no, I think it was for Atlas, the publisher. Anyways, whatever. I can't remember the specifics, but I signed on that. And I don't remember if that was the thing that influenced it or not, but eventually it did get published in the US, and I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. But I got to play it. I was at an E3. I've been to E3 once when they used to do that, if you remember E3. And they had it on the show floor, just one little kiosk, and nobody was playing it because nobody knew what it was. And I was with a couple buddies, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I want to play it. So I kind of walked up to it and I gave it a little try, but then I just decided to drop it. I knew it was coming. And it's been probably one of my top series, 1 or 2, easy overall. Yeah, the grapple hook does offer cool functionality. And I mean, aside from just the movement, I think some of the comment earlier about the bomb doing things like slowing enemies, the grapple hook, I guess in Zelda, it does have a stun effect on enemies, right? There's cool things you can do with it. This would have been E3 week, James. I didn't realize that. That's funny. Well, consider this part of E3, I guess. Let's see. I need to do another. What does a grappling hook look like? Let me pull up an image. Oh, I need a pixel art image. I mean, these are great, but pixel art makes it easier. Grappling hook pixel art. Oh man. Okay, check this out, guys. Whoa. That is an awesome bow and sword. That is not what I was looking for, but I like that. It's like a gun, a hook. Yeah. I'm not sure how I want it to look. This is too much like a fish hook to me. I'm just gonna look all day. Okay, let's just pick something. What does it look like? If I had Zelda, what does it look like? Do they have it? Do they? Oh, dang. I guess that is how it looks. That's just kind of like it's just like an arrow with a handle. Anything else good in here? Okay, okay. Maybe not. I'm going to go ahead and go for something like, let's go to the previous. Actually, this right here, I like this general concept with the handle. I'm going to go for something like that. So then, let's see. Let me just draw a line. I'm going to need a center line here. About 3 each side. I have no idea. I've never really drawn grappling hooks before. So this could be kind of goofy. Let's go ahead and just kind of make this thicker. Oh boy, how did I do that? Dunk, dunk, dunk. So yeah. Throw versus shoot it. Yeah, this is a shoot it kind, I think. Scott says it's looking great. Thank you, Scott. Okay, this is a... I'm going to grab my eraser tool. I'm going to erase all the way down the center. I don't need that pretty much anywhere except maybe there. But, yeah, I don't know. What other games... What other games are you guys interested in, I guess? You know, I play all sorts of things. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty because I really enjoy Battle Royales, and Warzone's, in my opinion, one of the better ones, but it's really struggling to hold my interest lately. I'm kind of sticking with, I mean, I've got like reds. Okay, maybe the blue and the red. I like that. I've got reds in the bow. Let me grab this blue. Let's use some similar colors. And I noticed I have a different, oops. Oh my gosh. I have a different outline color for this boomerang. I think what I'll do is I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to come in here. And I'm just going to change this one maybe. I'm going to get them all matching. Because I think that's, oh no, it is different. Oh. Forget it. Stay as you are, Boomerang. Dislike most new games, that's why you like the channel. James finished the new Doom game. Not as good as the previous ones. Yeah, I saw some videos about that. Hey, Mecha. Mecha Flying Fish, you're one of my Patreons. I recognize your name. Probably like the one of the original couple that signed up. Good to have you on. Let's see. Let's get some of this red. What did I do? Let's turn on contiguous. Get this, is that the lighter red? Okay, almost done with the grappling hook. I need some more blues. This is kind of goofy. It could be refined, but you know what? It's serviceable. It does the job. Fantasy Life, the girl who steals time, or I don't know what that is. I haven't heard of that one. Now, I used to follow it all pretty religiously. Obviously, I love games, right? Otherwise, why would I be doing this channel? But I think I need those little hooky bits. Hey, Dimitar, welcome. But yeah, I don't know. Life gets busy. I've got kids. I've got a family. Obviously, have a day job. Pretty busy. Involved in some community and church things as well. So I'm going sometimes, and I can't find a break. So, an Animal Crossing type game. I didn't play Animal Crossing much. More adventure would be good. That would get me to want to try it, I think. Okay, there we go. We've got our 4 icons, right? I think that's good enough. I mean, I feel like the grapple hook is a little bit small compared to the others, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. And the bomb is kind of big. Let's do this. Let's make the bomb a little bit smaller real quick. I've got the full size version. And that scaled okay. Oh, except I didn't do it proportional. I didn't get it quite right. I just hit the shortcut to add text, which is funny because somebody asked about it in one of our chats, like, hey, can you add text in Sprite? And I was like, I don't know, can you? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. I'm not a huge fan of the resizing in with pixel art, but generally I don't do it, but I'm just trying to get something done here. And that actually turned out okay with this one, except the wick. The John Wick. This wick is looking really thick. Man, I should start a hip-hop album for game dev or something. Mecca's getting married in October? Dang. Yeah, and you should have kids. That's my opinion anyways. I don't I don't fit the mold. I think that's awesome. Congratulations. 7sim usually plays action RPG, JRPG, Stardew Valley, sports, and management games. 17 and 12? Need a lot more free time? Yeah, I do have some older kids too, some in-betweens. The wick is looking swick. Like, yeah, I can't hear you laughing. I hope you are. Otherwise, I mean, with my kids, they would not be laughing at me. 6 and 3, James, huh? Yeah, a lot of time requirements when they're young. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen with life. I feel like when they get older, usually they take less time, but there's actually like a peak. Like to me, in our family, the kids required more time as they got into high school and stuff because of extracurricular activities and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Just depends. I think it depends on the family. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and export this. Let's save it actually. And then I think Control E. Yep, Control E is the shortcut for that. So we'll just use these. They could be refined. These will probably end up, maybe I'll change them a little bit, but they'll end up in a little zip file pretty soon as I develop the tutorial. So one thing that I haven't mentioned clearly here, I think I mentioned it in a comment on the video here, but I do plan to, so we're going to be working through some of this stuff. I didn't show you guys how to make the bomb, and I'm not doing a traditional tutorial format for a lot of this, but I will be making tutorial videos for the pieces that are in here. So if you feel like you didn't understand what I did, don't worry, I will come back and do that later. So I just need to export this. You know, I've had this issue lately where export is not available, and it's because it's not outputting a file. I don't know why that's unchecked for me by default half the time. I haven't cared to look into it, but if that ever happens to you guys, you're like, why can't I export it? Just make sure you've got something selected to export. Will I post all this to the Pixel Adventure GitHub? That's a good question, Scott. I mean, a lot of this stuff for the Action RPG series, I've already kind of made public, and so things that go there will be on that repo and on itch.io. But yeah, give me a shout out if Scott, I think you're on the Discord channel, right? Give me a shout out in there if there's anything more specific you're looking for the Pixel Adventures, and I'd be happy to look at it and consider it. Okay, so I've got that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and close Sprite. I don't want to spend too much more time in there. I hope I saved that. I think I did. So now we got to update it in here. So let's see. I'm not really sure where I want to organize these files. I've got like a bomb, so this bomb interactable, I've got that there. But I should have something in player maybe for these abilities. Or just right here in sprites, that'll work. Since these are all related to the player anyway, so I think that's fine. Open in File Manager. Oh, Mecha said thanks for the footstep video. That was a fun one. I had never done footstep, or I had never done, what I did in that video was a first for me as well, which was the like dynamic sound based on the tile that you step on. That was kind of a fun little challenge. I think the solution I came up with was reasonable too. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I didn't search too much to see how other people had done it, but I'm assuming it would be similar. If there's any other ways out there though, I'd be happy to. Excited to hear about them. Okay, what am I doing? I've got my sprite folder open, and I need to import that file, don't I? Which is somewhere, if I can remember where. It's under Penumbra, AARPG tutorial. No. I've got so much stuff, you guys. I confuse myself. Art, tutorial assets. Here we go. Where is it? It's at the very top, and I scrolled past it like an idiot. Okay, here we go. Copy that over here. Scott's looking for a way to set up walking in water and have a splash animation, and it's been challenging. Yeah, I could see why that might be challenging. You know, you could almost do something like the footstep audio, where, as you recall, with that one, we had a function, right, that we called. So the animation calls the play footstep audio function, whatever it was called. I guess we could pull that up real quick. And then it just plays the sound effect. You could have another part of that footstep function, like if the terrain is a type that's water, you need to play the water sound effect, but then you might also instantiate a little sprite, animated sprite, that destroys itself when it's done playing. I think that's probably the simplest way to approach that, based if you're doing it off of this game. Let me just look at that real quick. Let's see, we've got... Oh, that's the effect animation player. Let me go to my animation player here. And so like walking... Yeah, play footstep. Interesting. So let's go to footstep audio 2D. This has a script. So this is probably not the best place to do it necessarily, but we could. You could have a signal that emits that says, footstep played or something like that. Or you could just do it in here. So we've got get footstep type, and footstep type checks for the type. So you could have a thing like, if footstep type equals whatever one is water, or maybe you have multiple types, then you could have like, I don't know, an additional thing in here somewhere. I'm not sure where you play a little animation. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be fun to explore. I don't know if I'll get there. Yeah, digital clutter is a pain. Yeah, masking in the water, stuff like that. That would be cool. I think an easier solution, well, technically easier would just be to have separate sprites that are masked out. But if you want it to be dynamic, or you don't want to have to redraw, a whole bunch of frames, then definitely a mask would be easier for that. And I think a shader might be the way to handle that, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this. Let's go back to my inventory. So I'm going to come to my pause menu here and just update this. Now, what I've done in this, and I'll obviously, of course, have a video where I go into it in depth, but I've got these inventory slot things, but I copied this inventory slot scene, or I inserted one of those here, but I cleared it. I don't want to use the default functionality of these. These will probably end up with a script, but all we're going to do with these 4 gear things is, if you've collected it or unlocked it in the game, it will appear in the list. Otherwise, it will have a blank spot. And then there will be like some description that you can hover over and read, but you're not going to be able to equip or use them from this menu. Yeah, masking tutorial will be fun. I actually saw something about that the other day, and I thought, yeah, that would be cool. I should look into that. But I want to find a good use case. I don't love doing tutorials where it's just like, hey, here's this random thing. Now figure out how to use it. Although sometimes that's definitely appropriate. It's just not my niche, I guess, right now. And I'd like to find a real like use case for the thing that we're building. Okay, I'm talking too much. I'm getting lost. So I'm gonna go ahead and expand these. And we just need to update these textures. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear this. Now what we've got is we've got this ability icons. And if we were to just drag this on here, right? Actually, you know what? We could do that, can't we? We could just say it's animated. The bomb is too dark, guys. I gotta fix that. That's gonna drive me nuts. I closed a sprite. Sorry, I'm doing a little ADHD on you here. Okay, and I don't like that either. Okay, so what am I gonna do with the bomb? In fact, all of these, the black is not gonna look good on this. Anything black needs to go. Anything black needs to go. I opened the PNG though. I don't want to open that. Open the sprite file. Favorite novels? Man, it's been a while since I read. I do have a favorite. I do have some favorites. Raymond E. Feist wrote some really excellent books. Magician is the first one, and usually you find it in two books: Magician Apprentice and Magician Master, I think. And then he wrote a whole series with that. And there was even a video game based on the series, Betrayal at Krondor, I think is what it was called. I love that's my favorite book series. Okay, here we go. I hadn't thought about that book series for a long time until you asked about novels. Dang. Do I just give this an outline? Maybe I do. Maybe I just give it an outline. Just so it stands out. I don't know. I don't really need it up here. Just where it's black. Yeah, Raymond E. Feist books are old. They were hard for me to find. I had a really hard time. Libraries would only have parts of the series, and I would just be... I remember I read the first two, and I was like, how do I finish this? How do I find more books? And they're really cool because they're like, you know, fantasy, kind of Tolkien-esque, but he gets into interesting details, and it feels a little bit more grounded and a little bit less fantasy, which isn't necessarily why I liked it, but it was a cool aspect of those books. Like I remember in one of the books I read, there was a lot of details about the strategy of the combats that they were getting into, and it was really interesting from what I remember. Let's see. Okay, that one's going to be okay. Boomerang's going to be fine. The bow and arrow. You know what I'm thinking? I think this color choice on this boomerang was inspired. I'm just gonna update it. Oops. What am I doing? I'm on the bow level. Layer. And I am going to take the bow string and I'm going to make it a light color. Oh man, that's kind of looking nasty. Hopefully it looks better when we get it in there. But James, you played that game was so... I absolutely adored that game. Oh my gosh. Like, first person, before there was like true 3D, there was some basic geometry, and then the combat was like strategy, but they were small. You would only usually fight a couple enemies, 3 or 4 maybe. Oh man, it was so great. My dad got that for me for Christmas one year, and I was so excited. Oh, you only played the demo. Oops. We're aging ourselves a little bit too much. The hat makes me look younger. That's why I wear it. Just kidding. Okay, I think I'm... I did the... Wait. Well, that was weird. I thought I had put a bomb on the end. Okay, I think we're good. We're good? We're good. Export this again. Put that in there. SSI Gold box. What is that? I might know what that is, but that's not ringing a bell. Okay, see the bomb better at least. So there's a couple ways we could handle this texture. We could use the Atlas texture feature. Oh, it's a texture rect. I forgot that I'm using a texture rect and not a sprite. Not a sprite 2D. Yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in here and say new Atlas texture. And then drop that on there. And now we can define our rectangle. Okay, so the bomb is at top. I actually need to change that, but I'm just going to go ahead and just copy this and paste it. Paste it in here so that it's a little bit quicker. A little bit quicker. I don't know. This music's kind of chill. I just found like random, like royalty-free music that had some stuff that sounded okay, and I grabbed it. Oh, okay, D&D games like Pools of Radiance, Secret of the Silver Blades. Yeah, I didn't play those. Okay, so what do we got here? This is the bomb. This is supposed to be bow and arrow. So I'm just going to adjust to my region here. What do I got to do? Move it across. So something like that. Okay. That's 64, 0. It's 32 and 32. Ah, shoot. You see what I did there? Well, this highlighted two issues. One, these textures need to be beneath. Like that. But I didn't make this unique before I edited it. So come in here, make unique. There we go. Now I can just set this back to 0. That's at 64. Now this one, if I come in here and say make unique. What do I need to put this at? 32 maybe? Boomerang's probably going to be the first one. What do I got? Boomerang, grapple hook. So grapple hook was the last one I did. 96. Yeah, I'm going to have to go in and redo the outlines on these, but it is what it is. I think they're going to need like both a light and a dark outline maybe, like with the arrow, like the arrowhead, for example. This one looks okay. The grappling hook, not so okay. I don't know. So I lost track. What am I doing? 32. There we go. Got a boomerang, grapple hook. Oh, I did it again. Let's see. I think we could just go with the regular make unique, not the recursive one. Let's see if that works. What was it? 32? Yeah, that works. And I've got a label on these, so there's not going to be a quantity for the boomerang or the grappling hook, but there will be for the arrow. You know, how many arrows do you have? How many bombs do you have? Okay, so now if we run the game, let's just make sure it looks okay in the game. On a rare occasion, it will not. It'll look goofy. But you know, because we're reusing these nice buttons, I just slapped this in here, and you can go ahead and hover it, and it works just fine. I'm using this like embedded player. I don't always like it, to be honest. Oddly enough, especially with pixel art games, I should clarify that because I want to keep the specific aspect ratio. I'm just being weird. And sorry, I'm drinking on stream. My throat will get dry. I have mild misophonia, if you've ever heard of that. Oh man, my throat is really getting dry. Misophonia, so like certain sounds like really irritate my nerves. And so to me, like if streamers are like chowing down, I usually have to turn them off. Okay, here we go. So what do we got going on here? We've got these things set up. I think we need to go to our player HUD and maybe add these icons to the player HUD, because until we have that, it's going to be hard to start developing this. Like right now I can hit tab to do toggle ability. And I think adding these icons to the screen is a good way to kick off the toggle. Because if we see those highlight or change, you know, that's a good player feedback that we can kind of target to get this working. So I don't have the player HUD open, it looks like, so I have to remember where the heck that is. Somewhere in GUI or is it in my globals? Oh, here it is. Yep. Player HUD. I'm afraid I'm not talking too directly into the mic, but I have it kind of boosted, so I think it's okay. Yeah, sometimes it scales wrong, creates false glitches. I agree, James. And just in general, if you're like, you know, things scale funny and you're like, why does that look so wonky? This drives me nuts. Okay. See, I can't talk and like do stuff at the same time. I don't know how I managed to do videos. So we've got our screen. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't even consider this. Our notifications pop up here. That's okay though. That doesn't prevent us from using that. I don't know if our items should be more centered or more in the corner, but it dawns on me, you know, this is one thing. When I started this series, I had a limited plan, and our gems are in the inventory, right? They're just an inventory item. And I was like, yeah, that's also currency. Sure, that's good. Poor English for me too, but thanks. I'm glad my mic sounds good. I didn't have a plan for currency. I didn't really think about it enough. And so when we did the shop videos, I just stuck with it. And I mean, I have some regrets about that. You know, I kind of wished I would have done that early on. And in general, I feel like I'm doing this tutorial in such a weird order, because there were times when I would just respond to the requests of viewers, which I thought was fun and exciting. And so I just did that. But it ended up meaning we're kind of meandering through this game. Like, we're just coming back to the player. I'm going to give some game dev advice here. If you're developing an action RPG, probably finish all of your player abilities in a sandbox room before you start making much else. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean you can't change or tweak your player abilities, but you want to know what they are, how they work. It's going to force you to build things that interact with it. Like the grapple hook, we're going to have to introduce some collision detection that knows whether or not, you know, I can grapple to a certain object, for example. You know, you should really sort those things out at the beginning, I think, and do it kind of modularly. But at the same time, if you're like me and you're just having fun and doing stuff, then whatever, do whatever. But if you're really trying to get serious, you might find a lot of benefit in being more disciplined in the order in which you develop things. So yeah. Randy says, thanks. I appreciate you as well, Randy. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, not all feedback is good feedback. I sometimes give myself bad feedback too. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's add these things. They're going to have to display behind the notification box. So I'm just going to toggle that off. And I guess let's just make a new node. Control A. Oh, my add new node window is on the other screen because I was working on there. So control, we'll make a control node. Let's give it a name too. This is going to need to end up being beneath this other stuff. So let's stick it down here. Is this our heart container? Yeah. Okay, so the abilities, I don't know. I guess we need like an H box or something. We'll make them stacked horizontally. So we'll go H box container. You know, because I'm streaming this, it's going to feel a little bit weird to record. Yeah, episode 72, making a game design document. Yeah, now that we're 72 episodes into the series, let's talk about how to start planning your game. Okay. So I need some texture. In fact, you know what I can do? I don't need to add that. Let's go over to inventory. Where's my pause menu? I'm just going to grab all these actually. Well, can I copy it and paste it just like this? Hold on, let me think for a second. Do I want to do this? I think I do. Let's just start with one. I'm going to just take this whole button. Okay. I don't think I want it to be an inventory slot thing, but we're going to need some way to highlight these, so I think this is good. I think this is a good way to start. So we've got our texture in here. We've got our HBox container. I can just duplicate this now. So we'll have our, we'll have our 4 icons here. We'll probably try and condense them or bring them closer together, but, and in fact, you may not like this and you may want smaller icons. You may want to only show one at a time. There's lots of things we could do, but for now, I'm just going to show all of them because it'll allow us to kind of cycle through. And what do I need to do to get these to size properly? Can I squish it? I can. Okay. I don't actually like these being in a button. The button brings benefits like a hover and a selected state, maybe, but it's also clickable, and I don't know. Let's do this. Let's add another thing. We could do, I think it's important that they're in, or they have some sort of containing element. I don't know the best way to get a circle, but you know, you guys have seen me use this method before. I'm just going to make a gradient texture 2D. I wonder if they're ever going to fix that. We'll make this 32 by 32. Let's see, we want a radial fill. Hey, Phil, how you doing? A 1 and let's see, let's go 0.5. Okay, so I'm going to make a circle that goes behind each of them. And we're going to make it white. And instead of fading to black, we'll change this color to white with no alpha. Okay. And if you wanted, you could even, you know, add another stop over here. And just make it a circle. This is such a silly trick, but I think these are really cheap textures, and it's easier than going to Aseprite, making a circle, bringing it in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make this the base and just plop this other texture rect inside. And why did it do that? Layout, transform. Okay, let's change the position. Oh, that looks gross. Dang it. I really don't like that. That looks okay. Okay, that looks okay. We'll change the color, but that looks okay. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to delete these guys. And we'll just duplicate that. Okay, so there's our 4 abilities. And then we can kind of offset this box a little bit, right? Just going to hold shift and use the arrow keys to nudge it 10 pixels each direction. So now if we're running the game, we should see those. Okay, we've got our abilities. And yeah, all 4 of them up at once, that's too much. That is too much. But that's okay. You know, we could throw other things in here too, other UI elements if we want to, like what I was getting at earlier, which I didn't finish ranting about, the missing currency indicator, like, hello. In fact, maybe we'll add that today. We'll see how time treats us, but looks like I've been going for about an hour, so. If you guys have any thoughts of how you think this could be different or what you'd like to see, let me know, but I'm just going to keep working on this. So I guess let's update these. So we've got our 4 icons. So let's see, boomerang's good. Let's make this one the grapple hook. And I think these are all already unique. Actually, let me undo that. And let's just see if I can change this. I copied it while it was unique, so it should stay unique. So if I put that to 0, it's not. Dang it. Make unique. Okay, let's try this again. You got to be kidding me, man. Make unique. 0. Okay, there we go. That worked. I thought doing them all at the same time would work, but apparently not. Yeah, you're right, James. I could just use the circle in the inventory. Because that did solve the black on black color issue. I want to get the order correct on these. I'm just going to look at my abilities script. In fact, I'm going to close everything but abilities right now. Okay, so we've got boomerang, grapple, bow, bomb. That's the order. I don't know if that needs to be that order, but that is the order I've got. So I'm going to go with that. Which is not the order I drew them in. Which is stupid, but just trying to make it difficult on myself. Okay. Bow. Which one is the bow? Third? It's going to be 64. And then bomb. Oh yeah, the bow's too big. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I think this is the kind of thing that deserves more attention, like really fine-tuning it. You notice these are all pointing in a certain angle. I think I want the boomerang to be pointed in that angle now. I should have grabbed that one, you know, and that's a quick fix, but since we've already drawn the boomerang. But these are things that I generally do on my own, and I work through these problems before I record the video. So you guys miss a lot of the decision making and the pain that I go through with this stuff. And so I guess the moral of the story is when you feel that pain when you're doing something on your own, that's totally normal. That's just how it is. Like, why can't I get it right the first time like Michael does? Well, that's because I actually probably did it 2 or 3 or 4 times before I recorded the video. So I already have like a super clear path. Boom. I'm just going to go straight down it. Okay. So now there's a couple ways we can handle this. Yeah, you're right, James. If it's just to highlight the selected one, then that is fine. I was gonna say now we can either hide and only show the actively selected ability, right? But I think I'd like for now to show all 4 of them, because what that's gonna do is it's gonna give us like since I'm gonna have right now I just have tab, and so it's just gonna cycle through in a set order. And you know, if you wanted to add hotkeys like 1 2 3 4, that would be awesome, and we could do that too. But if you can see them all, then you could see the hotkey, you can see which one's next if you're cycling through in order, etc. And if you only show one at a time, you know, there's this mystery element to navigation that can be very frustrating to players, because you know, they may want to, they're on boomerang and they want to switch to the bow, and they can't remember, is bow right after boomerang or is it, you know, and so they might tap the switch ability button 3 times because they thought it was where bomb is, for example, and they just passed it, right? Because they went 1 2 3, oh, or they're here, they got 1 2 3, so now they got to cycle back through 1 2 3 again. To avoid that, if we show it, then they know, oh, I just have to hit it twice. If they're on boomerang, I hit tab twice, boom, boom. Okay, the drawback obviously with this approach is that this is going to clutter our screen. So you're going to have to decide how you want to do that. But those are all decisions that are best made by the people developing your own game, because I think you may have reasons to do one or the other. That's why I like to go through and explain these things, just so that you guys can understand why I made a decision. And if you don't like it, that's fine, but at least you understood why I did it and maybe come up with your own alternative. So let's do this. Now, one thing that I did that's kind of weird is I put this texture as the parent. And so in order to hide this, you would think, I don't want to have to change the gradient, but you know what we should be able to do though? We can do a self-modulate. I don't usually use this. So if we modulate, right, and make it red, that's going to affect the things below it. But self-modulate should only affect this sprite. Yeah. See how that works? So what we could do is we should probably pick a color, like when it's selected, you know, I don't know, like maybe it's a bright blue color. Okay. And then what we can do is when it's not selected, we can just self-modulate that alpha to 0 and otherwise put it at 1. I think that's a pretty good solution. Jeffrey, hey, thanks. You're currently at work. I wish we all had the opportunity to just stream and watch during work. Cheers to you as well. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully this is fun for you to watch later. So yeah, does that make sense what I'm going to do there, guys? And I'm not digging that blue color. You know what we could do is we could just come in here and modulate a couple of these, a few different colors, and look at it in game. And actually, if I'm going to modulate this circle and it's only going to appear when an item is focused, I might even change the gradient a little bit. Oh, they're all tied. That's okay, though. That's okay. That's better right now. And in fact, you know, you could, I always like the make it white, then modulate it, because then if you want to change the color, it's simple. But maybe we just make the color here, and then all we use modulate for is to fade it. But what this will allow us to do is we can get a lot nicer looking gradients when we mix colors. Like you see how I can add a little bit of red to this, even though it's transparent, right? It's fading to a transparent red. So the in-between colors are going to start bringing in that red, and that's going to look nice. We'll do the same thing here. We go down to this greenish yellow color, or maybe just to the yellow. I mean, that looks okay, right? That I need to come to this texture and clear the modulate. This isn't perfect, but it's looking better. You know, I feel like what it needs is a couple more stops. Can I copy and paste? I think I can. Let me delete that one. Copy, paste. Nope, paste. I can't. Okay. What am I pasting? What am I doing? I don't know. If you guys saw me paste something, let me know. Instead, I'll come in here and, well, actually, you know what? We can copy that, but I forgot there's this recent colors, which is way off my screen. You guys can't even see that. I'm sorry. There's, can I move that? Let me just turn off my picture of myself for a second. Okay. So, you've got recent colors, so you can just pick it, right? Or you can save swatches, which is what I was going to do. We'd like add a new swatch. Okay, so the reason I'm adding these is I want to add a little brighter highlight. So it looks kind of shiny. And I really wish, I mean, maybe I should resize this, but I just get this how I like it. I think I'm gonna, yeah, that's, you know what, that's fine. It could be perfect, but yes, James, there is. I think by the time I saw your comment about swatches, I already showed maybe what you're talking about, unless you're thinking of a different feature. But okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's grab each of these textures and go to visibility, and we'll self-modulate. Now all we have to do is just adjust the alpha. Okay, so in fact, oh yeah, those look kind of ugly without a background, don't they? And they're on top of my menu, which I don't want. All things we're gonna have to work out. I'm not loving this, but I'm gonna move forward. Sejim Duri, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I hope I got it close. Says that you found my channel a couple weeks ago and fell in love. Thank you so much. I hope you are learning, and glad that you're following along. So let's see. Guys, I'm at this point where I'm struggling with this because I'm not sure how I want to approach it. How to tame and recruit NPCs. Oh man, that would be fun. That's a pretty intricate system, I think. There's probably a simple way to do it, but I will add it to my notes though, for sure, Sakuna. Let me take this first one and turn it on. as if it's selected. Like maybe this whole section up here needs a little bit of a background. Not sure I like that, but let's give it a whirl. So I'm going to just go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a texture rect. It was already on it. And we're going to just come in here and add a gradient. And let's see. Good enough. The fill linear is good. What I want to do though is, there we go, gradient. I want to take, I think starting at black is fine. We'll end on black, but no alpha. I think this is okay. Now, one thing I don't like is this from and to. There are, I wish that we had a visual thing we could drag to adjust it. So we're going to start at 0, 0, and I want to go diagonal. So we could say like 1, 1, right? That's diagonal. The problem is we've got, oh, you know what? This will work though. What we need is we can't have any color past this point because I'm going to get like a corner fade is what I'm going for. And obviously, you know, if I'm not transparent by the time I hit that middle point, which is going to be here, then you can see the edges and we don't want that. Okay, so what I'll do, I think this will work fine, is if I just come in here and adjust this, yeah, I can just pull that back. So I'm going to just put this middle color stop right kind of before 50%. Now what I need to do is I need to resize this a little bit. Ooh. I'm not totally loving it, but it'll help. Okay, let's go down here to, yeah, let's go ahead and just modulate it maybe so that it's not fully dark. Oh, I'm still invisible. Thanks. That did it a little bit. If I go back, I'll go ahead and turn myself on again. You guys want to see my lovely hat? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to adjust this, make it a little bit darker. Let's go with like 70%. Okay. It's not perfect, but it works. Yeah, you know, as I'm playing this, I'm not sure what I'll do by the time I wrap this up. For today, we're going to keep it, but those icons are kind of big. There's probably a couple things that we might want to do, like fade these out if they're not selected, but McDonald's new slogan, I'm not loving it. Oh man. When I was a kid, I thought McDonald's was the coolest place ever. That's all I'll say about that. Okay, let's go into our ability script. Why don't we start working with this? So what we need to do is I need to have like a signal. Let's make some signals up here. So we'll say signal ability changed, because we need a way for our UI to connect to this so we know. And unfortunately, these abilities are like, you know, this ability script, it's a child of our player. We may need to have some other way to interface with it, but let me think. Yeah, you know what might be better? I don't think having a signal on this is the best way, actually. Because this thing is nested a few layers deep. So anything that would want to listen to the signal is going to have to find it first. I think it might be better because we're going to be accessing global scripts for this ability script to just call those. I think that's easier. Okay, so let's start with the HUD, right? We've got our player HUD, and this should be an auto load. Let's just double check it. So if I go down to globals, auto load, there's player HUD. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll go into our abilities, and anytime we toggle ability, let's go ahead and make a function for this. We'll say toggle ability. Did I spell that right? And then we'll just make a new function. Foink. And let's see. How are we gonna do this? I'm not really actually super comfortable with working with enums in Godot, and so I'm not sure what their limitations and capabilities are. But I want to cycle through these. James says not to redo what you're doing, but in his Zelda game, when he equips an item, he swaps out the load ability script for that item's script. Okay, I actually like that. I think that's a really good solution. You know, I'm not a developer first, and so things like that don't always come to me. Let's work on this toggle though. Can I? Let me just do this. Let's say print. Whoa, print orphan notes. No, no, thank you. We'll just print toggle ability, so I know I'm calling it. And then, can we do like? If we print our selected ability, let's do that. Let me just refresh what this looks like, because I can't remember if it prints the name or what. 0. Okay, it is index based. That's probably good, because then maybe what we can do is if we go back, I'm gonna go away from these slimes. Can I go in the shop? Like, what happens if we print if we want to access the next, you know, value in the enumerable set? So I think I could say like abilities. Let's see what this does. Is that even going to work? Nope. I feel like there's a way. Somebody's going to have to help me out here because I'm stuck. Let's look at enums. Do I have no tip for that? Okay, let me do a quick Google search. So how do we access an enum by index in Godot? I think we can do this. I feel like I've done it before. It's key based. It's like key value, so it's like a dictionary. Okay, okay. So by the time anybody has any recommendations, I might have come up with something. So what I was saying, it's like a dictionary. So, oh look, here we go. We've got find, key, get, has. So there's this, oh, here it is, keys. I was just going to type it. So keys is going to give us a list or an array of all of the enum names. In fact, let's just print that out. I think it'll make sense when I do this. So, uh-oh. I need to stop and run it again, I think. Okay, so now when I hit tab, oh, there we go. See, it listed out the different keys. Boomerang, grapple, bow, bomb. Okay, so I'm like singing to the music. Okay, so what we want to do is like, we can also do this, like, right? We can now that we have an array, I don't know if I need to zoom into that. I can grab the first item or the second item, or that's 2 would be the third item, right? So let's save that. Okay, so that's bow. And you'll notice this is not a string. Okay, so how are we going to work? How are we going to work on this? So I guess we need to get the index of our selected ability, I guess. I don't know. If I'm overcomplicating it, give me a tip. So we're going to say abilities.keys. Wait, let me look at these. There's find key. I want to, let's see, what does this return? Finds and returns the first key whose associated value is equal to value or null. I think this is what we want, but now that I'm in here, we can look at all the different methods that we've got. Oh, an enum is just a dictionary, I guess. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. I guess I've been using a dictionary as an enum, but anyways. So like their example script here, they've got dictionaries, not quite the same as what we're doing, but I think it'll work. So let's go back down. We've got find key, we've got get, has, is empty. Yeah, just the get is what, let's see what this one says. Returns the corresponding value for the given key in the dictionary. Yeah, so that'll give us, you're right, James, I think that's the best way. I think I just died too. I don't know if you guys heard that. Okay, we'll come back there. Okay, so let's go to our abilities. So yeah, if we just say get, and then we pass in our selected ability. Let's just go ahead and print. Let's just go ahead and print that. Maybe I'll just do print right here, just so we can see what that does. You know, printing stuff out is, maybe it's dumb to do it, but I just like it. Just working through problems, you know, like what does that do? Okay, null, that's not good. Wasn't expecting null. Okay. Let's go back to our script. Can I go, do I need to convert it to a string? How do I do, haven't been doing Godot for a couple weeks. I've been doing a lot of JavaScript. Is it str? Do I just cast it as a string that way? Yeah, let's save that. Still null. Wait, hold on. 0. Oh, I need the... At the top end, I love what James is saying. The bell curve for programmers. They start with print statements, then they use the debugger, and then at the top, they start using print statements again. If it helps the process, that's all that matters, right? Yeah, I guess so. Let me go back to this get and see. So the get is expecting a key. And I'm passing it. This is going to give it an index. The selected ability, right, when we're printing that out. No, it's right here, right? It's 0. That's really small. You guys might not be able to see that. And so I'm printing an index. So I either need to convert that to the right enum, or maybe there's a different alternative to get that would do this. There should be. Oh wait, hold on. Am I overthinking this? Let's go back here. Let me do this real quick. I'm just gonna change the ability. I'm gonna say selected ability equals abilities dot, and then we'll pick bow, which if we look at our list, that's the third one. So the index of that is 2. And so if we change this first, then I wonder what this looks like. So I'm gonna save that, and then we'll just press it. Okay, yeah, so the index is 2. Okay, so James just made a comment. First statement is the index. Second print is the key name. Yeah, so we've got the index here. So when we set it, we're setting the index. What this means is if we want to, we could just increase this, right? And then we'll be able to determine how many abilities we have. So let's just do this. We'll just say like var ability. Well, let's just call it max. So this will be like an integer, right? So we're going to say how many abilities do we have? Maybe max isn't the best name. For the sake of our future selves, we'll say ability count. This will equal abilities dot And we could actually just determine this when the game loads, but I don't know, whatever. There's got to be a count, right? Is there size? Size. That's what we want, right? So that's going to give us the number of entries in the dictionary. Okay, so then, and this might not be the best way to do it, but this should work. So then we can say, okay, ability count equals that, and then we could say var current index equals, and then we'll just say selected ability, and then we could say, is this weird? And then we'll set our current. Oh, we can just do this in one line. Well, so we'll do a clamp. We'll say like clamp. Do I need to do I for clamp integer? So we're going to clamp our selected. Yeah, our selected ability plus 1. And then we'll say 0 and ability count. And actually, I don't know if we want clamp, but did I not put a comma? What did I do wrong here? I need a expected closing after call arguments. Oh, missing something there. Okay, sorry, I had to check a message I got. So then if we go ahead and just print current index, and let's see what this is doing. And I don't need this line right now. So save that, come over to the game. Oh, nice. It's 3 every time. I must have hit the max, right? So what's the is it wrap integer? Wrap I? My dogs are barking. So go back to the game. Well, that's not working. Do I have an error? Do I need to convert this to an integer? I don't know. What am I doing wrong, guys? Toggle ability, it's always on 3. Okay, let's go back to my script. Selected ability plus 1. I think I'm using this properly. Oh, I think it is working. Yeah. I'm not increasing the selected ability counter. James is probably like, ah. Okay, so then I guess what we just need to do is, I'm not sure the best way to set this now. We should say selected ability equals. See, normally I would type out the name like abilities dot whatever, right? I really just want to do like that, right? Like current index. But that's not going to work, I don't think. What we have to do is what we did before, which was the, let's see, dot get. Dang it. Well, I don't want .get either because I have to pass in the variant name. How do you just get it at the index? Let's go back up to my methods here. There should be a way to do this. And I think I'm just nervous now because I messed up. Let's see. Has hash is keys. What's this? I guess we just do this. With the get keys that I did before. I think that's how we're going to do it. Was it get keys? What was it? Was it just keys? At the current index. No dot. I don't know why I added a dot. Okay, let's save that. Let's go back to our little game view here. Oh, nice. I got a bug. String and int. Oh, see, this, I did need to convert this to an int. Let's see if this works. Okay, let's run this again. Because my game crashed. Oh, dang it, it's not working. Yeah, maybe I'm overlooking something I did here. James is saying maybe he's missing something. Looks like I'm always getting the same result when I create current index. Yeah, let me think through this. What am I wanting to do? I'm wanting to get the selected ability, add one, and wrap it based on my ability count. I mean, is this... Let me just comment this out real quick. Well, everything's to the print. So what I want to do here, I just want to see if this is valid. Because when I was printing this before, I was getting like a number. Let's just save that, see what happens. Okay, so it's printing 0. Which is good, because right now, when we start, we should be, right? Boomerang. Okay, so... Okay, so this works. So current index. Now I want this to be... Oh, here, let's just do this. Let's keep testing this. Let's do this +1. Save that. Make sure that this works. Okay, that works. So then what I want is to wrap it. And then let's print current index. So now it should still print 1. Nice. Okay. Why is this so hard? So James is asking, where am I increasing the selected ability? And I'm not sure what the delay is, but yeah, right here's where I want to do it. So I want to say selected ability equals... That doesn't work because that's going to return a string. I mean, can I just do that? Don't tell me. That's nice. I hope that's what I can do. Save it. There we go. 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Man, I was getting into my head too much there, wasn't I? So, okay. What did we learn? What did we discover here? So with these enums, it's basically a dictionary, which presents some unique challenges. But one way of defining these enums is you could say, like, you could set an index number. If you don't, it by default goes through in order 0, 1, 2, 3. And the only thing that was tricky is that we just had to make sure we could wrap it, but we can just use the indexes. We don't need to use the names or the keys like I was before. So we're just saying, okay, how many abilities do we have? And we don't have to do this here. We could set it elsewhere, but this works. And then we're just going to increase we're going to get our current index and increase it by 1. And that's probably a bad name for that because what we want to call it is maybe new, right? Because current is the one we're currently on, but we'll call this new. Okay, so our new index is going to be whatever our current selected ability index is +1, and we're wrapping it if it hits the ability count and then set it there. Okay. So that's working. And we should be good to go. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody too much with that. Let's just clear it, make sure it's still working good. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm not printing anymore. Okay. Okay, next step is now to get this to manipulate our UI, our player HUD. So what we need in our player HUD, we need to make a method that we can call. And there's a lot in here, but it's okay. I think it's okay. So we'll make a new function, like update ability UI, maybe. Okay. And I guess we're going to require an index. That's probably the easiest way to do it. We're just tying things to index. So we'll just do that. We'll call it like the ability index, which is an integer. And then we can use that here, right? Because now we'll have a spot that we can activate. And so just to begin, we'll say print. We'll just print the ability index and we'll go from there. And thank you for your help, James, by the way. Even though the delay made it a little bit difficult, it was nice to have some idea to bounce off of. Okay, so we can go back to our ability script, and then after we increment this, then we can use this new index again here. So we'll say it was player HUD, right? Dot, and then what the heck did we just call that function? Update ability UI. And we just need to pass in the new index, like so. Now, if we go back to our game, we're printing that here, which is good, because that's where we're passing it through. Okay. Say, Jim's got to go pick up the kids. It's okay. I'm sorry you couldn't stay longer too, but it'll always be here. I'll keep it up on the channel, so we'll see you around. Okay, let's see. I guess what we need to do now is we need to have a reference to all of our little nodes here, and we can just change the modulate. That's all we really need to do for this simple version of the UI, right? So I'm thinking one thing we could do is we can name these and get very specific with them, and that's probably beneficial, but not necessary. So what I'm thinking is, you know, normally in these projects, I am getting on ready variables for all these things. And I think I'm just trying to think if I want to do that here, if I care that much. We're only going to be doing this. Well, we're going to be doing it regularly, I guess. What I'm thinking is we could just almost go here and just say, grab this and say, like, get children, something like this. Get children. And then we should, I guess, assign that. So we could say variable and these are all texture rects, right? So it's like an array of texture rectangles. Oh, that returns nodes. Okay, yeah, we'll just do this. Get children will just return a node. It doesn't dig into what type of node it is, right? So get children returns all children of this node inside an array. I don't think it's, oh, here we go, right there. It's at the very beginning. Okay. So we're gonna have an array, we'll call it abilities, and then what we need to do is we kind of need to like reset the visibility of previous nodes, and then we can update the new one. So, you know, I may refine this a little bit by the time I build the tutorial, but I don't know, I might not. I don't know that getting these is a best practice to get them this way. It might be better to do it when we load the scene, but at the same time, you know, Godot's pretty good about memory management, and so I'm kind of not too concerned about it. So I just want to try it. I think it should be fine. So what we'll do is we'll go like abilities at the index that we passed in. Dot module. Let's see, self modulate is what we're going to do, right? So we're going to say self. Why did not show? I'm just going to put in white. It doesn't matter actually, but white. and then 0. Oh, no, this one's going to be 1. So if I save this now as I go through, it should, yeah, it's going to highlight them. Right? So they all ended up highlighted. Now, the only other thing we need to do is to maybe make the other ones not highlighted. Highlight. Should we iterate over the array and do this? When should we do that? There's a couple ways we could do it, right? I mean, we can, let's just say for A in abilities. And then we need to do this actually before this, but we'll just say A dot self-modulate. I don't know why self-modulate isn't popping up. That made me nervous that I didn't know what I was doing, but so we'll just self-modulate those to 0. We need to do this first. Otherwise, right, we're going to make this one not transparent, but then we'll just override it. So I'm going to cut that. Just paste it right here. So if we save this and go back, there we go. Hey, something's happening. Now you could make this a lot cooler. Like we could add an animation and stuff like that. And I think that's worth doing, especially once you're making a game, and even a sound effect. But this UI is just to represent this changing value that we have in our ability script. So right now, you can see I'm on the bomb, and I actually have some of that hooked up. It's saying the bomb. If I hit tab, it'll throw the boomerang. I'm happy that this is actually working. I didn't plan on this working already, but obviously arrow or grapple hook, it says grapply. And then if I hit tab for the arrow, it says arrowed. Okay. So if we look at our script here, our ability script, what I'm doing is I was just handling this switch statement. Now, something that I think I like what James mentioned, how in one of his projects, he's just calling a function, but then he's like replacing the function, right? By, I don't know exactly how he was doing it, but if you were swapping a reference to a node or what, but there's a couple ways you could do that, right? In fact, where was his comment? When he equips an item, he swaps out the load ability script for the item script. Okay, so I see. He's just like has a reference to a script and he swaps it when he changes abilities. That's a good way to do it. What I've got here is I've just got a separate function call. Now this method that I'm doing is not quite as elegant. And if you had like a huge number of abilities, you would want to do more what James is saying, right? You would want to build a separate script for each thing. But since I know I'm only going to have 4 for this, I think this is okay. This will be a little bit easier for some of the more newcomer developers to grasp as well. And so let's go ahead and like hook up this bomb ability. I don't have a whole lot more time left, and maybe I can do another hour, but okay, yeah, James says he's loading in a new node. Timmy says, sup, bro? Welcome, Jimmy, or Timmy Joe. I think I saw Timmy Joe and I read Jimmy. Dyslexia. Yeah, let's hook up this bomb ability. I think I've got everything that we need for this to work. Right, we've got a bomb. So let's see, we need a reference to this. Like we've got the preloaded scene for our boomerang. Let's do the same thing for our bomb. So make a new constant reference to the bomb. And I'm going to have to probably stop and restart for this to work, because I don't think adding this preload is going to update the game in real time. But let's go down here and find my bomb. I'm just going to drop it in those parentheses. Here it is, interactables, bomb scene. Boom. Okay. Very good. And then what we can do, like when we look at our boomerang ability, what we did is, it's interesting. Oh, if we already have a boomerang out. Yeah, that makes sense. We're going to have to build something like this in there. So what this is saying is if the boomerang, we keep track of the instance of the boomerang. If it's being thrown, we can't throw it again, so that we only have one at a time. And so we're tracking that up here, boomerang instance. This is where actually having a separate script to track this stuff is actually pretty beneficial, so that you don't overwhelm yourself with all these variables. But but I'm going to go for it. Okay, so if we're on the bomb, we're going to throw the bomb. Where do I want to start? Let's make a new instance. So let's just say variable bomb. What is that? What is that bomb scene? Let me look at this real quick. It's just a regular scene, and it's got a child that's throwable that we have to call. Okay. That's good to remember. Rathe, been distracted with audio editing, but glad to finally catch a stream. The channel's helped out a lot with for a brand new developer. Well, good. I'm glad to have you on board. It sounds like you do a lot of audio. That's cool. Music or sound effects? I'm curious. So I'm going to say this bomb is just a new node. It's a node 2D, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then what do we need to do? We just need to say like bomb.instantiate. Okay. That's good enough. I'm just looking up here at the boomerang as a reference. I'm trying to think. We need to put this bomb where the player is. Let's just start there, and then we'll just see if it works, right? So we'll just say like bomb. We need to add it to the scene. We did it by the player, right? So player. Oh, that's good. Add sibling. I didn't even think of that. I was going to say like get parent.add child, but I'm going to copy this. We have a reference to our player. We just want to put our bomb in there. So let's just do this, and then let's set the position. So we'll say like bomb dot, we'll do global position is equal to player dot global position. Okay. I'm going to run the game again because I think we need to. So now if I select my bomb and hit the ability button, there we go. I'm dropping bombs. Nice. That was actually pretty easy, right? Now the funny thing is I can pick them up because these bombs are already built to have this throwable script attached and whatnot. So that's bonk. That's one way to handle this. Now what I want to do though is I think I want to have the player like instantly pick up the bomb. And so let's see, how am I going to do this? I might need to add a script to the bomb. Otherwise I can search maybe the bomb for the throwable. I could do this. We could do a thing where it just searches. So this bomb throwable has, let's see if it has the pickup script in here. I might need to go to the, yeah, it doesn't. Let's go to the parent because this is extending throwable. So throwable, this script, if we look, it has like throw, drop, bum, 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 bum. I don't see, where the heck do we pick it up? Oh, player interact. Oh, maybe I do have that on bomb. But either way, I just got to call player interact, and this is where the player will pick it up. I'm trying to go over to my game because I'm dying. I'm dead. Okay, sorry. So yeah, we can just call the player interact maybe as soon as we use that ability. Now we're going to have to do a check. We want to make sure that we can't like pull out a bomb if we're already carrying something or in another state. So we're going to have to work on this a little bit, but that's okay. Rathe says that you do a whole gamut of audio work and processing. You're more of an instrumentalist, composer, and sound designer than anything else, but you've done recording, mixing, and mastering. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Timmy Joe, yes, I will save the stream. The stream will stay up on the channel, so it will be in the playlist. In fact, it may already, well, it probably won't show in the playlist until the stream ends, I'm guessing, but yeah, it'll be there. This will be a permanent part of the series. And just for those of you, since I'm talking about it here, I am going to be making tutorial videos about each of these features, dedicated videos. So because I didn't explain how I created the bomb in this stream, I just had already been working on it. So don't worry, you're not missing anything critical, but this is an option or an opportunity for me to interact with you guys as I'm working on this, partly because I'm behind and I need time to work on it, and also because I just thought it would be fun. I think you guys can see into how I work and see that I'm pretty darn human too, and I make a lot of mistakes, like what we were going through earlier, trying to figure out how to get the simple little ability toggle working. So yeah, we can drop a bomb that is working quite well, and then we can just pick it up, but we want to call the pickup. So let's do this. Let's say bomb dot, and then what do we want to do? We need to get the throwable. That's what we need to do. So let's say this. Let's say variable throwable, and it's of type, we'll just say it's of type throwable. And actually it is going to technically be throwable bomb equals, and then we're going to say bomb dot, and then we can do like a get child or find, I think. Let's do a find child. Let's make sure this is the one I want. So find child finds the pattern string, finds the first descendant of this node whose name matches the pattern. Okay, that'll work. So technically we should be able to look for throwable. And then we could say, and we should actually probably, I don't know if we need an as to cast it as a throwable bomb. I think it already is one, so it should be good. So we'll say throwable dot, and then we'll call player interact. This might work. Okay, let's select our bomb. Oh, it didn't work. Huh, I wonder what we need to get that to work. Oh, hey, it worked that time. Interesting. What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, that's actually really fun to watch. There's a game idea right there. Bomberman game. Okay. Let me go into the shop here. It's so fun when you're just screwing around making these little projects, and you, hey look, see, that one picked it up. I don't know why it worked once, but most of the time it didn't. So that tells me that maybe our code is okay, but it's a timing issue. So maybe what we do is we say, maybe we put an await in here. Just wait for like the next process frame maybe. Get tree. Let's do the physics frame. My tutorials are great, and it's nice to see you working like a normal human. Yes, thank you. I'll keep it up. Thank you, Green X. Okay, let's see if this improves that. I'm not sure that it will. And if I get frustrated with it today, we might move on and I'll go debug it later. Yeah, it's still not picking it up. But that is so cool, though, the trail of bombs. Ouch. Just watch the colors blink in succession. That's really fun. Okay. I think we need a boss that does that. Let's go to my player interact script on the bomb. I do have it in here. Let's go ahead and put a print statement. And just see if that's working. Oh, yeah. Well, I think James is saying turn on debug collision areas. Maybe the placement is not overlapping where it needs to be picked up. I think that's a good thought, although I feel like this player interact is normally called by the player if we're overlapping it. But let's look at the throwable. So yeah, there may be something there, but technically this player interact is already happening on the, like when we enter the area of the bomb, then we connect our signals, and then we've got an interact press listen, and then if the player presses interact, so we should be circumventing the need to be in the collision area, but maybe it's related to that. But let's just go ahead and I was going to print player interact right here, and let's just see if this is even calling. So now if I'm dropping a bomb, okay, yeah, it's calling it. Okay. And because this bomb script is inheriting from this one, I'm going back and forth here, but look at the player interact. I wonder if some of this stuff might be messing with it. I don't think so though. But let's go back to my bomb, and I'm just going to move this down beneath the super. So the super is going to call all that player interact code from the parent script, and then the bomb continues on and does a few things. So if I save that and go back to the game, I'm hoping we don't. Yeah, we do still see player interact. So it is calling it just fine, right? Okay, so I got to go through. It's been so long since we built this. Can we turn this on while we're running? No, it doesn't look like we can. Let's go ahead and just run the game again with the debug with the shapes on. And I'm going to go in the store here. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see that, but that interact box, I'm pretty sure it is over here. So if we're dropping this bomb, oops, that's the boomerang. See, what the heck? It worked that time. That's really odd. It worked the first time. Worked the first time. What does that tell me? Does it tell me anything? Is the prop getting passed to the function? Is his first thought? Yeah, I don't think so. But let's check it out. Throwable. So player interact, it's going to check this. This isn't happening because if this was returning, see, we're still getting this player interact message even when it's not picking up a bomb. So we know it's running through all that code, or at least it's successfully making it past that first condition, right? So if we go back to the throwable, so it's getting past this condition. If picked up equals false. Interesting. Okay, which it should. It should. Set interact handle the true, disable collisions on the prop. I wonder if there's something that's just not quite set up. We've got our area enter prop. Set hurt box, object sprite. I just got to refamiliarize myself with this code a little bit. Hello from Brazil, it looks like, from Vinicius. Just found our channel a couple weeks ago. Didn't watch the series, but you'll get there. Thanks for coming. Is there an await animation finished somewhere for Dan? There is a way to await an animation being finished. I'm not sure that we need to wait for an animation to finish here, but I think I'm not sure if we're having an issue with this throwable script or if it's an issue with the state that the player's in. And so I think we might need to try and debug this. So let's see, throwable, player interact. Now let's add a breakpoint here. Is this going to let me do it, or do I have to restart it? Let's see. Actually, you know what? I've had issues with this where if I put a breakpoint on the function, I don't know if it works. Let me try that again. Go back to the game. More print statements. Dang it. Let me stop and run it again. I feel like that breakpoint should work. Or do I need to turn on a setting for it to work? Maybe I do. Oh no, there we go. Oh, interesting. Interesting. It stopped this time, which is good. And we can see, like, okay, let's see, what do we got here? There's our throwable, our bomb. What am I looking for? Picked up? Am I on the right one to see picked up? Yeah, it's false, so that's good. It should continue, right? Now what we can do, I don't usually use this in here, but where's this next line? Step into or step over. Let's do step into, F11. So now it's going to go through each line of code. And it's going to, most of this stuff is fine. I don't know. Oh, here we're into the bomb now because disabling collisions. Boom, boom, boom. Oh man, it's doing this for each thing with collisions. I'm just stepping through what it's doing. I don't know how many things there are to disable. Holy moly. Are we going to be stuck in here forever? Ah, we're back. Okay, if prop.getParent, getParent, remove child prop. Interesting, okay, which makes sense. Disconnecting a signal if we need to. Then we're going to add this prop to the player and set the position and player manager.player.pickup item. I wonder if the issue might be coming in here somewhere, right? Pickup item. We're changing our state to lift. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm not getting a whole lot out of that debug, to be honest. James has a question on how super works. Does the return leave both functions or just out of the super and back to the original caller? That's a really good question, James. We'll test that with a print. Okay, look, where are we at? Bomb, player, throwable. That's where I've got my breakpoint. So we can print here just so we know, like, if it failed. Failed interaction. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. So there's an answer to your question. That's a really good question, James, because that pointed us to the problem. So we can see that hey, it worked that time. Get out of my hands before it blows up. Most of the time it's failing. And so if we go back to our script, here's where it's failing. The interact handled is being set to true before we get here. And okay, that's interesting. So in our player manager, I added this little variable called player or interact handled, just so that we could, if we're picking up and there's like 3 things that need to be picked up, right? The first one will set this to true, and then the other ones will ignore that. Let's look at this a little bit. By default, it's set to true. That's interesting. Oh, I think I know. Interact, anytime we interact handled gets set to false. Oh, this is it. So by default, when the player presses the interact button, it sets the interact handle to false. Then we emit the interact signal, and then the first object that picks up the signal is going to set this back to true. And true is the default state for that value. Okay. Does that make sense? So the only time we ever set interact handle to false is right before we interact with something. And then the first thing that picks it up sets it back to true. And so what we need to do is, in our abilities, we probably just need to, we may not need this await. So I'm going to comment that out. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to say, what is it? Was that in our player manager? Player manager dot interact handled equals false. Let's add that. And do I have it running still? Yeah, I do. Hey, there we go. I did it. Every time now. Now, the funny thing about this is he's picking it up off the floor. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we want it to do something else. I made the bombs not very bouncy because, like in Zelda, if you're throwing it at a wall that you want to blow up, I want it to stay close to that. You know, I don't want it to be super bouncy, but a little bit of bounce is fun, right? So, a little decision making behind that. The bomb's hidden in those pots. Okay, we fixed that. Now I bet you I can pick up a bomb here. Oh, it threw the other one. That's good. I wasn't sure if I was going to have a bug. So here I'm holding an item and I press the use ability key. Picks up a bomb. What if I'm like charging my attack and I hit this? Okay, it just takes me out of it. I mean, that's okay. That's not a terrible bug to have to deal with. Let's take some damage. Yeah, it kind of works while I'm taking damage, but it's not like super broken, surprisingly. Oh, that is broken. It didn't drop properly. Is that... Did I break all of my pickups, or is that just with the bomb? Yeah, it drops the pipe. That just fine. Okay. Yeah, not resetting it, James says. I think he's referring to the issue we just talked about. Cool. Well, we've kind of got this working. I'm going to turn off visible collision shapes. And again, you know, we'll go through the full stack of how this happened, how I built this bomb, but imagine that it's just a throwable and you've already followed along up to that point to have regular throwables. The differences with the bomb are on kind of what happens when it hits the ground, because our normal throwables, they break as soon as they hit the ground or something. But as you can see with the bomb, it does not. It continues to stay in the scene until it explodes. So that's kind of the primary difference. But it looks like we have a bug. So our throwable, when the player takes damage, let's see, where is, let's look at where he takes damage. It's probably going to be in the player script, right? That I want to look at. Let's see if this is the one. Take damage. In here, we emit a signal. Let me look at the throw state on the player. Somewhere he knows he has to drop it. So I'm not sure where that is exactly. Or carry state is where we want to look. Let's look at the carry state. Maybe it's not in here either. Well, I think it is though. When we exit the state. If throwable, if we have a throwable, which, oh, I wonder if the bomb doesn't qualify as a throwable. It should. It's extending that. Let's see. We just say if there's a throwable, if this is, we get our direction, but if the next state is stun, then we call drop. So on the throwable, we're calling drop. Let me look at the bomb. We're override. Oh, we're setting the process to false. Why did I do that? So what setting the process to false does is it means that it's not going to be doing the process stuff, which in the throwable itself, right? Our process function is what's doing the physics simulation for this. Okay. And so I'm pretty sure in the bomb I set the process to false because I didn't want the bomb to fall as it's exploding, but it's causing an issue here. So if I run this, oops, I probably didn't need to run it again. So if I take damage, it should drop now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's working. But the reason why I did that is I'm going to throw this. Oh, it's too slow. I need to make the timer faster maybe, but let me see if I can get this time. See how the bomb blew up in midair and it didn't. Actually, that's working just fine. I could swear. Let's let it blow up while we're holding it and see what happens. Oh yeah, see, it did the drop when it damaged me. So that's kind of odd, right? That's kind of odd looking. But apparently I fixed it where if you threw it and it blows up in midair, it's just fine. So maybe let's work on that. And then if you guys have any other questions or anything that you want me to kind of talk about quick, I'm going to wrap up in the next 30 minutes or so. So if we can get anything in there that you want me to speak to. I think we've had a pretty good session with this actually, so I'm kind of happy about that. But what was I going on about? Let's see. So see our process here, we're just calling the super. I was trying to do some other fancy stuff. I got rid of that. Let me go ahead and just mess with this bomb. We fixed the one bug. He can now drop it, but see, I've got a fuse duration on here. I'm going to set it to something shorter, like 3 seconds. Save that. And then I don't know why I'm clicking on stuff. I think I'm just getting tired, honestly. Oh, okay, I do need to run the game again. Okay. So if I pick up a bomb, 1 alligator, 2 alligator, 3 alligator, throw. That actually looks fine. Unless I'm taking damage. So let's see. Sorry if you hear the noises upstairs, but gosh. So what's happening is let's get this isolated. So if I'm taking damage, the bomb gets dropped, which we don't want. But if I throw it, and it explodes midair, it should stay where it was in the air, which I do want. So I want that kind of functionality for both. Dan says B-site. I'm not sure what he means by that, but B-site indeed, my friend. Let's see. It's something related to the bombs, maybe? So what do I got to do here? If the bomb explodes, where's my timer on this? I don't even remember how I built this bomb, you guys. This is embarrassing. Oh yeah, here's how I did it. This is kind of unconventional, but you see I have an animation on this bomb. We'll go ahead and look at this real quick. Bomb, animation. It's got a default animation. Okay. And I just play this as soon as it starts. And I made the animation 1 second long. And then in my script, I just am scaling the animation based off the fuse duration. So what we can do is decrease the speed scale if the duration is long, right? Which means it just converts the animation to be that duration. Oh, okay. CSGO reference to setting the bomb. Okay, gotcha. And then what I do is I cue the explode animation after this animation. Okay, interesting. But I've also got this. Animation changed. I'm connecting that, and there's an on animation changed. So what I do here is I've set the speed scale back to 1. But you'll notice I set the process to false because I don't want the gravity to take effect anymore. Okay, so the set process false, just going to disable the process function, which is going to bypass all this, including the super call, throwable. Okay, now this does kind of the velocity, right? So here's what we're going to do. I added this set process to false on drop so that it wouldn't fall like if the player is holding it and it explodes. But we do need it to drop if he takes damage from an enemy. So I think all we need to do actually is we could just check one place or the other. We got to do something different. So what happens is the animation changes to explosion. Process gets set to false. Bomb also goes off. Damages the player. Calls drop. Sets... What? Wait, I'm not sure I understand what's happening. All your base are belong to us. If you guys aren't familiar with that one, you need to look up that zeroing. I'm not sure the best way to fix this, because this is needed in one condition and not another, and I'm just not 100% sure off the top of my head what that condition is. Because I'm distracting myself, and I'm getting tired, and my throat hurts. So... This is probably the most boring moment of the stream. We could check the animation here maybe and keep this one. We'll just say if Do I want to do that? Does that make sense? I do have reference to the... do I have reference to the animation player in here? I do. Why don't I see it? Oh, it's because I'm getting it in my parent script, so it's implicit. Okay, so if animation player dot, I don't know, current animation, right? And then we could check, because this should return a string. Let me double check that. Yeah, returns a string. It's going to give us the animation name. So like, if the animation equals explode, set process to false. Let's try that. Let's see if this works. Make it a function in the animation player. A new bool for tracking in air. These are all good ideas. Let's see if this one worked. Okay, so if I take damage, it still drops. Now if I take damage by letting it explode, what happens? Oh, that almost worked, except it was at his feet. That was unexpected. Quite unexpected indeed. Because I would expect it to stay where it is. Okay. So something's happening with the process real quick, maybe, before this switches. I'm not sure. I suppose what we need to do is just set the position now. So we, how are we doing it? How are we doing the position before? Oh, interesting. This makes sense. That's just the bug. Here's the bug. This is getting deep into the weeds. Okay, so the bomb, when we pick up the bomb, we don't actually change. We're actually only changing the sprite for that height, right? Because if you look at the shadow, that position, the bomb, even when we're holding it, the bomb is at his feet. And in fact, the explosion sprite is simply at his feet. And if we look at our script, I had a little bit of code to fix that. I just update the explosion sprite position. Maybe to fully explain that a little bit more so it makes more sense. Our explosion sprite here, when we pick up the bomb, we're only moving the sprite 2D. So when the player's holding it, it's up here and it explodes. And if the process isn't happening, if that process call isn't happening, because it doesn't happen while the player's holding the bomb, then this is never getting updated. We need this to update to the position of the bomb. So all we have to do is come in here and let's see, bomb, drop. I think I copied that. Yeah, we'll just set the position right there before we do this. And let's give it a whirl. Let's see if this works. This should be the last bug, and then I'll probably be wrapping it up, because I'm not sure what to get into next. Boom. There we go. Cool. So good thoughts and good ideas there, James and Dan. Fortunately, there was a simple solution with how I already had it built. So, yeah, this is what I'm working on, guys. So expect me to, I kind of want to get some of these other abilities fleshed out a little bit before I start getting deeper into this, because I don't want to build this system one way in a tutorial and turn around halfway and then like say, hey, we built it this way last video, we got to change it. So that's kind of one thing that's delayed me after I got started on this, getting back from vacation last week. So, and I just haven't had a lot of time in general, but yeah, I'm going to be fleshing these abilities out. So we're going to have something for the bow and arrow. I probably will just get far enough to know that this ability selection is working how I want, and then I'll start recording videos again. So that could be any day now. I don't expect to have grapple hook working how I want before I do that. But I'm going to try one thing for fun. I think while I'm spinning, I can probably pull out a bomb. Oh yeah, it's broken all right. Oh yeah, so there's a bug we got to fix. We're going to have to check our player state. Maybe you can only pull out a bomb if you're walking or idle, something like that. I think those are the only two states that make sense. Do we still have a dash? Where's the dash? Is my dash ability not in here? Oh, there it goes. What happens when we dash with the bomb? Can't dash. Okay, that's good. So yeah, there we go. Maybe we'll go ahead and implement that and just see if there's any other questions you guys have, because I think implementing this little check will be pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go back to my script. Otherwise, thanks you guys for following along. And if there's, as usual, if there's things that you guys are interested in and want to learn, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I don't always respond to most of the comments because I've gotten to the point where I get quite a few, but I try to. And I do look at the requests. I have a running list of requests and ideas that not only are interesting, but seem like things I want to work on. So yeah, go ahead and drop those. And I've had a few of my Patreon subscribers in here. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Recently, you probably heard my wife there, but recently added some new stuff for you guys to check out. I've got that platformer series, and all of the code for that is available to my Patreon supporters. I've got a special repository where I share some of the other projects and things that I'm working on, just as a thank you to the support that they're giving me. And so you're welcome to join Patreon if you want to do that. And the credits will roll when I'm done here with their names. And I really, truly am grateful for all of you. So let's go ahead and just look at this ability. So the bomb ability, we have to check and make sure we can actually do it. I think, so what we want to do is maybe just check the state machine, but knowing we said we only want to do it if we're in the idle or walking state, right? I have player state machine open because apparently I opened that at some point today. So we'll have our current state we can look at. Okay, let's do this. I don't have a good way to get a reference to the states. I didn't build that into this version of the state machine. But like, just as a refresher, if we go into, let's go into state.carry. What we're doing is we're just kind of dragging in the states like that. And we can do the same thing in our ability script. So I'm going to go to abilities, right? Because this is part of the player. So we do have access to the state machine and all of the states from our, if we want to. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. I don't know if this is the cleanest way, but this is pretty straightforward and not a lot of noodly code. Let's see. So what I want, and James is saying, thanks for sticking with it. It's hard to, or it's, let's see, what do you say? Sticking with this and not letting the channel and Discord just fade away. It's tough making videos, he knows. Yeah, it is. It takes time, but I'm partly doing this. My number one reason for doing all this is because I need the creative outlet and it keeps me going. Here we go. Idle and walk. So you're welcome, James. And thank you for your support. James is probably actually the one who keeps the Discord channel going way more than I do. Him and Aya. There's several others who are quite active, but those two are answering questions and helping people debug their projects. So I guess that's a good shout out for the Discord community. If you want some help, hop in there. There's good people who are willing to take time and answer questions. And from time to time I do, but not nearly as much as everybody else. But that's kind of the goal too, I think, is help take some of the load off of me and just let people share and learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if we're in those states. I guess I'll need a reference to my state machine as well. Let's grab that. Whoops. I had those selected. Okay, here we go. So now I can come down to my bomb ability and we'll just do a check. We'll say if state machine dot current state equals idle or equals walk, then I'll do everything. Why is this not working? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I just need my indented. I'll just indent all the code. Now I don't like my code scrolling, but this isn't too long of a line, so let's go ahead and save that and go to the game. And I think this should, that didn't work. I can't find current state. Don't I have current state on my state machine? Player state machine. Did I? Okay, let's check this. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I drug these on, but I need to run the game again. I think that's the problem. Because this on ready never happened since I edited the script. So keep wanting to do it. Okay, I can do it while I'm standing. I can do it while I'm walking. But then let's get our sword out. I'm charging. I cannot pull out a bomb. Okay, that's good. So I can only do it from those two states, which will help prevent. I think that's the safest way to do it. Pick the most finite number of things you could check for and kind of check for that. Otherwise, you'd have to say, like, I don't know. I just don't think you want to try and pull out a bomb in too many situations. So keeping it simple. Looks like I do have some sort of like Z-index issue with the bomb there. I'm not sure. I just maybe need to adjust its position a little bit. It's fine being behind him right there, but it was just a little bit. Yeah, right there. It should be in front of the pots, I would think, but that's just probably an issue of how I position the sprite. So there we go. A pretty good chunk of work for this little stream and good conversation. So thank you guys for following along. Dan's got a comment, made an RC car ability with the AARPG series. Doesn't use states, just bools and the right stick. Nice. And you say you made a mean copy paste top down car controller. Yeah. I think that'd be fun. So I'm assuming what you mean is you hit the button and then the player stays still and you drive a car around, like he's controlling it. If that's what you're saying, that sounds totally rad. So yeah, thanks guys for following along. Stay tuned. Should hopefully be dropping regular videos again starting next week, and so I hope to see you guys then. So have a great weekend, and as always, we'll see you next time.